Good afternoon. I'd like to express my gratitude to everyone who joined us for today's webinar, as well as to the viewer that joined us live on YouTube. It's my pleasure to welcome our distinguished guest speaker for the webinar, Academic English Writing for Researchers. Dr. Malaka, we really appreciate your acceptance for our invitation. Dr. Malaka is an assistant professor at Dar al-Hikmah University in Jeddah, KSA, with multiple research papers published in high-ranked international journals and conferences. She has made significant contribution to the field of education. In addition, she has more than 20 years of experience in teaching, mentoring, and coordinating. The most recent award she has received are Ibrahim Julaydan Award for Distinguished Academic Performance in 2021 and Dr. Hussein Muhammad Al-Sayyid's Award for Scientific Research in 2023. Dr. Malaka, you have 40 to 45 minutes for your presentation. This is an interactive presentation, so please feel free to communicate with the speaker during the presentation by typing your question in the chat box, or you can also raise your hand and ask your question directly. Dr. Malaka would answer your question by the end of the session. Participants will receive attendance certificate by the end of the session. Now, without further ado, I'd like to pass the virtual floor to our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Malaka Aitani.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lubna. I'd like to thank you for coordinating this and organizing it. And of course, I would like to thank ITAR Group and in particular, Dr. Ahmed Al-Gattan for this honorable invitation. I always attended the presentations and the sessions that are presented by ITAR Group, and I'm happy that today I will be giving one of these presentations. Therefore, yes, let's start without further ado, as you said, Ms. Lubna. So as you know, this is about academic English writing for researchers. And I would like to start with good news to our, let me just close this. Okay. To our participants here, that writing a good English research paper is a special skill. It's a challenging skill, actually. However, the good news is that anyone can learn this skill, and that's why we are here today. That's why we are going to learn together how to write a good research paper using proper English, proper academic English. We will start with some definitions first. Simply put, academic writing is the writing done for academic purposes. So as its name indicates, it's for writing that is done for the purpose of academia. Like what? Writing what? Like writing book reviews, argumentative essays, literature reviews, grants, conference abstracts, conference proceedings, commentaries, memoranda, and all these are examples of writing that suggests or that requires academic writing skills. Also, to start our webinar properly today, let me also introduce or explain the meaning of or what a research paper indicates. A research paper tells other people about your research project. So it is something that goes along with your research work. Why do you write a research paper? Because you want to answer a research question. So it has answers to the questions that you were researching. It tells why the question is important. So it tells about the significance of your research study. And of course, how you did it, using which data, using which methods, and the results that you found at the end, or while you are collecting data, while you are doing the study. And all this, of course, cannot be important if we don't connect it to how it relates to the real world. And that is what happens by the end of the paper and the conclusion. Now, what are the characteristics of good academic writing or academic writing in general? First, it is the structured organization. So it's not like I decide if I want to write a research paper or a research article. I don't decide on the arrangement of the sections in the paper. I don't decide as a researcher, I don't decide that. No, there's a structure that I have to follow. There's a certain organization that I have to abide by. So it is structured organization. There's an abstract at the beginning that is followed by keywords. There's an introduction. There's a methodology. So there is some kind of organization that is there that I have to follow. What else? Academic writing is about evidence-based argumentation. So I cannot just say my personal opinion, my personal insight as an author. I cannot do that. When my students write essays, I often get this question about, can I add my opinion in the conclusion? And my answer would be, your opinion is there throughout the whole essay when you are writing an essay. However, when you are writing a research article, you're not really writing your opinion. It's not about what you think. It's about what you found. It's about what you found in other researchers' work and what you found in your own research. That's why it is evidence-based argumentation. Next, also, one of the characteristics of academic writing is that it involves critical thinking and analysis. And this is evident in the discussion of the findings. A good researcher is not someone who just collects data. A good researcher knows what to do with the data. A good researcher knows how to analyze the data and sees how this relates to the real world, what to do with this data that is collected, what to do, what to recommend for other researchers, for other people in the field that he or she is working on. That is why academic writing also involves critical thinking and analysis. Another characteristic of academic writing is formal tone and style. Formal tone, that is, you can say serious tone, serious style. That is different from what? What do you think? By the way, you can write to me in the chat. I can check your chat while I'm discussing this, while I'm giving the presentation. So feel free to answer questions or to suggest any idea while I'm speaking. So yeah, when we say formal tone, that is different from what? What do you think? Yeah, right. Could be not the narrative one, although sometimes it includes some narration uh, of the events that happened during the research done. Yes, it's different from journaling. Very nice, right? Different from spoken language, for example, right? Although some spoken language or some spoken um, uh, some speeches can be formal and include academic language, right? Next, another characteristic is that it includes proper citation and referencing. I cannot just like an idea in a book and include it in my paper in my research paper without acknowledging the author. I cannot just find something on the internet and put it, even if it's from a song. I have to acknowledge the author, the author of that particular quotation that I borrowed. So proper citation is included or is required, where in the in-text citation itself, in the text itself, and at the end of the research paper. Also, it includes revision and proofreading, and that's very important. We will talk about how to do that. Of course, the research writing or academic writing involves a lot of drafting, and that is what distinguishes it from journaling, as you said, for example. So yes, it includes a lot of revision, a lot of proofreading. So these were some of the characteristics of academic writing. Now let's have a look at the elements or the sections of a research paper. As you see, we have the abstract, then we have the introduction, we have the literature review, there's the method, then the findings, and in the end, there's the conclusion. and we will discuss what we're going to write in each one of these. But let me just state that in the abstract can someone tell me what the abstract is or what it does, its function in the research paper? You can speak or you can write. The abstract, what do you think it does? Exactly, yes. It's like a summary for the entire paper. Yes, it tells me whether I should pursue with reading this paper or not, right? To see how relevant it is. Exactly. Now, when I'm writing, by the way, we write the abstract at the very end of our research work. Now, when I start writing, I want to establish my research territory. That is, I want to set the context for my research, in which area I'm going to write. I'm a teacher, right? But teaching is such a broad area. Where exactly in teaching do I want to delve? Where do I want to swim in this ocean? So I need to specify the research territory that I want to explore here. That's why I need to write sentences like these, and we will be giving examples of sentences that are written in each different section of the research work. For example, these sentences can be in the section where I start or preparing the context of my work. Let's have a look at this. And this is about the voice, which is very important also in academic English. So as you see in number one, we can name the topic has received a lot of research attention. Let's say fast fashion. Fast fashion has received a lot of research attention, or has led to a renewed interest. Something has led to a renewed, maybe COVID-19 has led to a renewed interest in online learning, right? And then something has been extensively researched. It could be cybersecurity has been extensively researched. Something has been field tested by, and I name particular people in the field of research. Now, notice the voice here that I am using. All these are still like this is at the beginning of my research work. The voice that I am using is what I want you to look at next. So when I say a number of recent studies have recent, that is close. Now I'm still looking at the tenses also here. Have examined. These are the words that I use. Examined, investigated, focused on, reported that. Okay, I'm using have here. I'm leading you to a point here. I'm showing you one example after the other because I want you to reach a certain point here, and that is tenses. Now, which one of these you think is correct? A number of studies were conducted in the past 10 years, or a number of studies have been conducted in the past 10 years. This is all about academic English writing. Which one do I use, do you think? Is it were conducted? Yes. Yes. Wasan, you may answer if you want to.
The second one.
You think the second one? I have some answers here saying it's the second one. Yes, and that is correct because I am connecting it to now to now. Okay, so when I need to use the present perfect tense because I'm connecting it to the present. It started sometime in the past, but I need to show its relationship to the present moment. That's why, yes, your answer is correct. All right. Also, when considering academic English and research, there are certain words that often occur in our writing. We always use them. There's no way we don't use them. Words like evidence, for example. Now, evidence is just like advice. We don't say advices, right? We say a piece of advice. And we're talking here about what countable, uncountable. Evidence is like equipment. We don't say equipments, right? Now, do we say Many evidences support Abdullah's hypotheses, or a lot of evidence supports Abdullah's hypotheses. I have more answers here. You think it's the second? And yes, the answer is it's the second. So we don't say evidences. Why am I saying this? Because why am I'd like, yes, because I want, it's not plural, it's not countable. That's why the reason I'm putting these examples here, especially, is that these are common mistakes among researchers. Okay, so let's try to avoid them. Next, here's another quiz. So in the past few years, there was a great deal of controversy surrounding soy foods, mostly due to recent research. Now, is this correct or does this require any change? What do you think? You can also write in the chat. Let me see. Actually, you're right about about foods, but sometimes food is written in plural in certain instances. Here, I'm focusing more on the verb. Let try again. Yes, Wasan, you want to answer?
Yes, I think there was a great deal needs to be changed.
Yes, that's right. Because it's in the past few years. So I want to connect it to the present. I need to use the present perfect. And the answer, or it should be, there has been a great deal of controversy. So you see, in research writing and in academic writing that is in research, especially, we need to connect to the present, because unless of course we're writing about history, right, historical events, if the research is about history, then yes, we do use or we do keep thinking of the past tense all the time. Otherwise, we need this connection to the present. Okay, here's another one. But this one is about verbs, but not tenses in particular. This one is also another common mistake that some researchers might make in writing. So let's see. In 2014, an important study by Hussein rose a number of concerns about online data collection. Do you think it's correct or wrong? What do you think? All right, give up. I'll give you the answer. I know some of you do know the answers, but they're just, or maybe they're just giving the chances to others to reply. And the answer is this. Okay, so we have a rise. The past of rise is like the sun rises. It becomes rose, risen in the past participle. Okay, here we don't need rose, we need raised, because we need the transitive verb. We need a verb that requires an object after it. What is the object that comes after this verb raise? A number of concerns, right? So since there's an object after the verb, then we cannot use rise, rose, risen. We have to use raise, raised, raised. Now, why am I using also this example? Because the word raise or the verb raise is always occurring in research writing. Here's another thing. Now, it's not all about quizzes. I'll give you a break in a moment, but I like to give you some quizzes to just to keep you engaged with me here. So let's see. Here's another example, and this time it's about also verbs. It is not within the scope of this paper to propose solutions to this issue. Notice that I'm giving you examples from the introduction of some research papers. Okay, so this could be coming from the introduction. So it is not within the scope of this paper to propose solutions to this issue. This study is simply devoted to, and here many people write understand. Understand here is not correct, and the correct word to use is, guess what? Uh, Actually, it is understanding. We need to add ing because this to here is not about the infinitive. Like I'm going to write, I'm going to swim. This is not infinitive. This to here is similar to what we write in an email. Looking forward to hearing from you. Looking forward to your reply. I need a noun after it. Okay. So that's why here this too is actually a preposition that requires a noun after it. Okay. So it's not the infinitive that requires a verb after it. So I'll repeat now. Try to listen to the sentence again and see if you can, if now you like it better. It is not within the scope of this paper to propose solutions to this issue. This study is simply devoted to understanding the problem instead of what to understand the problem. This was also another common mistake. Now, we have defined the general research territory, and now we know where we know the context of our paper. Next will be to find the research gap. Do you think research gap has a positive or a negative connotation in the world of research? What do you think? Positive or negative? Gap. I didn't hear you well.
Positive.
Positive or negative? Let's see. Positive in what I'm going to do. Yes, maybe this is what you understood. Yes, I'm going to do something positive. But what I find is a negative thing. So it's a negative thing that I'm going to fix, okay, and make it positive if you want. If this, then your answer will be correct. So as I read, I find some research gap. Some research has been done maybe in a certain city, but none of this kind of research has been conducted in my city. So that's a gap. Or some research work has been done on the elderly, but none of this research or this topic has not been researched with the teenagers. So I find this gap and I fill in this gap. So after I define the general research territory, the next step is for me to see the research gap that is worth exploring. Because, in research, I don't reinvent anything. I don't create something from scratch, from zero. I build on something. And while building, I build on a problem. I find a problem and try to fix it. And this is how I do my research. So here are some sentences that you can find in the literature review where there is an area of a research gap. These are some examples that I brought to you. So something deserves more research attention. Let's say sleeping disorder deserves more research attention, right? Most cybersecurity studies have focused mainly on companies. Maybe now I want to focus on individuals. Another one is the vast majority of the work in this area has focused on, but now I want to focus on something else. There is limited research investigating. Limited here, it has a negative connotation. So now I'm going to dig further in this area because there is limited research. There isn't a lot of research. The same as with there is scant evidence that to date, notice the connection to the present. To date, no study has looked specifically at the stress that university students suffer during the midterm period, for example. Previous research has largely overlooked the stress that university students suffer from in their final exam period, for example. All right, so these are examples of sentences that are taken from the part of the literature review where we are looking at the research gap. These are other examples. Little research has been done on a certain area. Also, relatively little is understood about. Scant attention has been paid to. Since, and I name the year, for example, since 2010, little has been written about online learning, although this is not true. Few attempts have been made to investigate the role of young teachers. A number of studies have shown that. However, important, see now with this, however, so I show that there's little information about the subject, and now I'm going to do something better. Now I'm going to focus on what hasn't been focused on previously. And this is my role here as a researcher. That is the role of my research work. Otherwise, why would I want to write? Why would anyone want to read my research work? Now, so these were other examples. Here's a quiz also about some sentences that are taken from the part of a research study that has a research gap or that focuses on the research gap. Let's see. In number one, do you think it's correct, or do you think there's one problem in it? We're talking about academic writing here again. So there are relatively few researches in that area. That area, of course, could be the sentences that precede this could be about the topic here, let's say architecture or interior design. So what do you think? Number one, there is a problem. I'm helping you. I'm giving you a hint now. Yes, very good. Yes, as Muhammad said, it is the word researches. Who knows why this is wrong? Yeah, right. Because research per se is not plural. Studies is plural. Okay, but research, we can say research works even, because works here can mean papers. Exactly. Yes, right. As Manal said, we can say research papers. Okay, let's look at number two. The evidence supporting a low-carb diet are moderate at best. And I explained this before, so this is a real test now. It should be, yes, as Wafa is saying, it should be is, right? Next is, right, number three, the number of studies investigating the use of educational technology has dropped. Let's see. Okay. So here, that was a trick. So a number should be have, right? Yes. Okay. So as you said, let's see, is there another quiz? No. Now I looked at the gaps and I'm trying to fill in the gaps and I express this in my work. And after that, I'm going to show my reader how I'm going to conduct my study, how I'm going to bridge this gap. And by doing this, of course, I would be stating my aim, right? So I'd say the study is concerned with the problems that children face at school in a certain subject. The study is aimed at, the study provides an overview of the study, critically reviews, and all these are expressions that I use when I talk about stating my aims. Other examples are this study was carried out to examine, was conducted in order to investigate, was undertaken to determine. Now, I wanted to explain here and previously also in other examples, sometimes I use the passive voice and sometimes the active voice. So here, this study was carried out. You think this is active or passive? The study was carried out, was conducted. Yes, exactly. It is passive, right, Batul? And the one in the previously here, let's see, this study is concerned, is aimed, the study provides, the study reviews. In this case, it is active. That's right. Now, generally speaking, or in most disciplines, it is better to use which one you think, which is more acceptable in academic writing? Who knows, passive or active? So you see, let me explain. Passive is when the subject or the doer of the action is unknown. Active is when it is known. Here, the study was carried out, but I didn't say the researchers carried out the study. I didn't mention the doer of the action here. Generally speaking, it is more acceptable if we, yes, Wasan, you want to answer this?
Is it this study was conducted in order to investigate?
Yeah, all these are correct actually, but which is more acceptable in writing, active or passive? This is correct. But generally, it is better to use which voice, the active or passive. Actually, it is the active
Active?
voice. Yes, it is very good, Wasan. Yes, it is the active voice. But it also depends on the discipline. And you can also refer to the style that you are using. So in some styles, like, and this, when we talk about styles, that's like APA, Chicago, MLA. Different styles focus on different voices. Generally, it is better to use the active voice. So this study aims at instead of is conducted to or is aimed to. Okay. Now, when carry out, conduct, undertake, all these, they mean do, okay? They are often used with these words. And again, I'm telling you here the words that we are using in research, the vocabulary that is used in research. Carry out, conduct, undertake, all these are acceptable, but carry out is less formal. So it's better to use conduct. And generally speaking, less is more. That is, if you say fewer words, it's better. Fewer phrasal verbs is better. So conduct is better than carry out because they have the same meaning. So why would you use two words when you can use one? If you're writing about your opinion, let's say we will not write our opinions in research work, but generally speaking, even whether you're writing about your opinion or not, try to use the active, unless it is really impossible to find the doer of the action. All right. Now we look at the literature review more extensively, just to look at the relevant research and theory in the field. We make connections between the studies that I have read. And of course, when doing research, we need to do a lot of reading in order to position my study in that context. So it is important to show the audience that you have actively engaged with the relevant body of knowledge that my research is based on. That is why the literature review is very important in research writing. Now, of course, some journals require the literature review to be a separate section with the title literature review, and some journals guidelines say that no, it can be part of the introduction, but the meaning is the same, or the function of the literature review is the same. So here and in the literature review, what do I use? I say a number of scholars have discussed the importance of student motivation. Numerous scholars have highlighted the importance of student motivation. A number of scholars have conducted research on, have investigated why motivation is needed, have noted that consuming sugar could be harmful to studying, for example, have correctly observed that. So here I'm not writing about gaps. No, I'm saying what other scholars have focused on, which can connect my work now to the previous work, have examined the role of. So you see, all this is more positive than negative, like that than in the previously mentioned examples. Little work has been done in this, little research has been conducted. So you see here now we're moving to more positive expressions. Also, it is generally agreed that, now here I want to tell you about hedging, and hedging is generally more accepted in the research field of social sciences, humanities, more than in the natural sciences field. Because when hedging means like when we calm down with the tone, we're not as affirmative, we're not as confident in our sentences. So we calm down the tone. It is generally agreed, generally, okay? There's no confirmation. Most of the research, not all, right? Current research seems to indicate this is acceptable, okay? Current studies appear to support the notion that, see, the tone isn't very, let's say, isn't very strong. So I'm allowing for some kind of argument here. Recent research has tended to show in the literature on certain kind of design, there seems to be general agreement that, okay, so notice the hedging here. So when we talk about hedging, it means we are calming down the tone of expression. Still in the literature review. Quiz time. A number of different, I didn't explain this, but I'll try to see how much you read in the research field to see if this is correct or not. So number one, a number of different. Who thinks number one? Okay, someone said has. You're close, but it's not the answer. Let's see. Give up, everyone. You're close also, but it is not the answer. Okay, I'll give you the answer. So this one is hypothesis. This is I know why you're thinking of the verbs, because all this time I'm talking about the verbs. No, actually this time I'm talking about the noun. I tricked you. So hypothesis with an I is what, singular or plural? With an
Plural.
I. So when we say a number of different, here I expect a plural noun, but this word is actually singular. Yes, this word is singular. So here we need a plural noun, right? We'll see the correct answer now. Number two, a large amount of theories have been disproved. This is a bit tricky also because it sounds right, right? A large amount of theories, but it is not correct. Theories is countable. It's not like research or evidence. When we count it, we don't say amount. It's better to say number, a large number of theories. Okay? Yes, exactly, Albatul. Number three, current research seem to suggest that this is an isolated phenomena. There's a double risk here. Who can tell? Number three, okay, seems, very good, because research is singular, so we need seems, exactly. Khawla and Muhammad, yes. But there's something else here. There's another problem in this sentence.
Phenomenon.
Yes, exactly, phenomenon, because phenomena is plural, and here we need the singular noun because of an, right? An isolated phenomenon. Thank you, Manal. That last, the available evidences, and you know this now, we talked about it. This should be,
Evidence.
yes. Here are the correct answers. So a number of different hypotheses. We need a plural noun here with an E instead of an I, right? And tense, yeah, I forgot. Good job, Khawla. Yes, we need to change tense, exactly. right? And a large number of theories rather than amount, because theories is countable, and research themes, phenomenon, and evidence tense. Okay. Now, we said at the beginning of this session that academic writing is characterized by having citations and references. We cannot just bring quotations and put them without any citations, right? So we need to put the references. And where do we do that? In the text itself and at the end of the text. Now, one style that we use is APA, another style is MLA. These are the most frequent or most common styles. Chicago also is well known. Do I just choose any style and follow it, or how do I choose the style depending on what? Who knows? How do I choose my style of reference of citations? Let me explain now what the journal guidelines. Yes, exactly, Ghufran. Yeah, it depends on the journal guidelines, exactly. Why am I talking about references here? And by in-text citation, I mean, for example, the references page at the end of the paper of my research work. If I'm following the APA style, it would be named references. So in the middle, I would write references. If I'm following MLA, then I should write works cited. So it has to change. The same thing is with the in-text citation. For example, in APA, I have to follow the name with the author's name with the year of publication, and that difference it depends on the journal and the discipline. Exactly. Yes. All right. So this is the part of your paper. We're talking about data collection, the part of your paper that where you describe the process by which you attempted to answer the initial research question. How am I collecting the data? Am I doing interviews? Participants in the study were males or females, were members of a school or members of a company, were selected from a dorm, a university dorm, were selected based on their gender, were assigned to a control group and a test group or experimental group, or were they randomly sampled from kindergarten, for example. Another quiz, or tired with quizzes? We continue. Let me we'll do this very fast. So 25 PhD theses, just like hypothesis. The number of subjects affected by the disease. Let's see here. I'll just move so that we make use of our time. Sorry, maybe I skipped the answer part. No problem. We'll continue because I see here that we are running out of time. The tenses, and this is a very common question, which tenses do I use in writing a research paper? In the introduction, we use the present tense because I'm connecting it to what's going on in the field that I'm researching. So this study examines the effects of climate change on biodiversity conservation efforts, for example. Next, in the literature review, it depends. I use the present in examples like Itani argues that biodiversity loss is a significant consequence. So emphasizes the importance of the topic, right? But when I want to describe what the researcher did in the past, then it's better to use the past tense. Okay, conducted a longitudinal study to assess the impact of pollution, for example. Next, the methodology also, I use the past tense when I want to describe how I selected my samples, how I conducted my study. But then that may be used for general statements. For example, participants complete a questionnaire to assess their dietary habits, but it's even this could be written in the present and it could be written in the past. The point here is to be consistent with the tenses. The results also indicated a significant correlation between variables A and B, for example. So I still use the past tense here. And the present tense is commonly used in the conclusion, because again, in the conclusion, I'm like giving the implications, I'm giving recommendations. Now I'm continuing with the present and with the future. These are the references that this presentation is that supported this presentation, and I'd like to thank you in the end. This is my LinkedIn account if you'd like to follow me, and this is my email if it appears clearly. And if you have any questions, please you can ask now. Thank you so much for your active participation in this session. I hope I didn't take too much time, Miss Lubna. Are we good on time?
Yes, yes. Thank you so
طيب
much.
okay, alhamdulillah.
The informative presentation. They're asking if they can get the slides.
Yeah, if usually ITAR does that,
We can send them. If they can send their.
or maybe they can email me, right? Contact
Yes,
me, and
yes,
yes, I can send them. No
yes.
problem.
I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
How do I strike a balance between providing enough details in my writing without overwhelming the readers with technical terminologies?
Yeah, that's a good question actually, because we don't know. Sometimes we don't know. Should I always use the technical terms? Should I define them? Should I give the definition or not? Yes, it is better to define or give definitions of jargon, of technical terms, because you don't want to overwhelm the general reader as well. Although the reader is supposed to be to understand most of the paper, but if it's like a university student, for example, he or she does not really have to know all the words that are there. So it's better to give definitions, and you can tell that while reading the literature. If in the literature they give definitions, then it is better to also define these in the beginning or at the beginning of your research paper.
So, I have another question.
Yes, sure.
Um, do you have any strategies, or could you discuss strategies for effectively revising and editing drafts to improve the clarity and the coherence in academic writing?
Yeah, sure. And that is also often asked. I can divide this answer into three sections. Number one is you. You as a researcher, it's good to read aloud what you're writing. Many times when we read aloud, we can discover the problems in the writing, and we can decide on better ways to write well. Another way is to give it to a friend to check it, right? Let someone else read it. We always get each other's help in the field of research. Let someone read it and see if they can find things to improve. And the last thing is, and that's also very useful, is the use of artificial intelligence, like Grammarly, for example, or even I think ChatGPT can do that now, or other artificial intelligence platforms. If you give the paragraph or paste the paragraph there, you can have the correction of your writing or the proofreading. Yeah, I hope that helps.
Okay. My last question, what should I consider when selecting a journal for publication, and how can I tailor my writing to meet the journal requirements?
Okay, the second part of your question, you always have to check the guidelines of the journal.
Mm.
So after you choose the journal, check the guidelines and accordingly you work. But regarding the first part of your question, it depends what you want to do with your research. For example, if you have like a quick, not a quick research, but something that you can present quickly in a conference, it's good to have it to present it or to publish it in a conference proceeding. If you need it for research award, because now you are planning to get a research award, for example, then it is better to aim for highly indexed journals such as Scopus or ISI, for example. And if you simply want to publish, then as long as it is an international journal, or sometimes even good national journals, you can go for that, as long as it is well known. The journal is well known.
Thank you so much.
I hope that answered your
Yes,
questions.
yes, thank you so much. For the audience, do you have any question?
I think there's some question about the attendance, the certificates,
But I did not get the one.
attendance lecture more, but not certificates. Thank you, Batul. I'm glad you attended. I miss you.
Can you clarify your sentence more, please? Okay.
I think they will receive their certificates next week,
Yes,
right? Yes.
they
Okay.
will receive it, inshallah, soon
Good. Good, good.
after the lecture. Thank you so much, Dr. Mina.
Thank you. Thank you again, Dr. Ahmed, and thank you, Ms. Lubna, for this beautiful cooperation. I'm glad we work together on this. Thank you, Ms. Lubna.
Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Hanan, and thank you, the audience. You will receive the certificate, inshallah, after the session. And if you don't have any questions, so we may. Okay, here they have. Oh, okay. No questions. Okay, thank you so much. I'll end the session.